Making a video. Yay. Alright, I think we'll make it another one of these We Know Enough videos. Even though I plan on going lots of different places, but we'll see how it goes. Only so much time in the day, so to speak. So anyway, yes, it is Saturday, and I'm not in my debate room. Because, yeah, it's kind of a waste of time. But anyway. And I just, I had a very don't feel great kind of day. I have those. And that's sort of what I wanted to talk about, because it's this whole, Anaconabad is now speaking of the mind, the brain, and, how it identifies the world, what to pay attention to. I almost look at a penis. Anyway, this much. So, I had all that, right? Anyway, so where was I? So, so I think it's worth getting to that whole, like, what makes you aware of something that you experiences. They give you an idea, a thought, a theme, a principle, and that principle stays with you. So, I might as well make a simple argument I was going to make about his argument. The other day he mentioned how he's allergic now to alcohol. He calls it being allergic. So anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. Because you're saying, yes, okay, many people quit drinking because, they finally have a hangover that's just the hangover, and they just say, never again, and they really mean it this time, and they just say, never again, I'm just not going to go there. Can't say that was exactly what got me. I mean, I don't drink much. I certainly don't drink to get drunk anymore. And certainly part of it is, who needs to be hungover? But the other part of it is who needs to be too drunk either. But anyway, it's like for some people, it's like you experience something enough and you say, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's just no good for me. But I just thought it was kind of funny, the idea of allergic. The idea of, okay, you had enough of something. And his inability to recognize that syndrome as being something that, yes, it happens to one person, it doesn't happen to another person. And so, here he's created a new person with the assumption they're not going to be allergic to the world he's going to put them in. That they're not going to find it a hangover. Just one long, nasty, brutal hangover. And where does that assumption come from? He won't assume there's no God. He won't conclude there's no God based on the preponderance of the evidence. And yet he is willing to presume it'll be okay if his child is allergic to the world he's going to put it in. Sorry. Right? So it's kind of, the point is, he just obviously doesn't have this simple principle that says, hey, there's some stuff you just don't do. So, so it gets to this antinatalism argument also, but it's just in the sense that, unfortunately, I didn't have to philosophically discover it, this idea of it, just from a personal perspective, because there was nothing to personally sacrifice, because I never personally thought it would be at all a good idea to create a living thing and then be worried for the rest of my life about its welfare. I never thought that was very appealing. And it never even occurred to me to think of it in terms of, oh, I'm going to get old someday and I want somebody to wipe my ass. That never even occurred to me. So I was never a selfish enough asshole to think I want to create somebody to do something for me. I mean, I never even thought of that. I mean, that's sort of like thinking when you have a pet, that the pet's going to do something for you, like it's going to go out and make a living and make money for you or something, and that you don't have the pet kind of because you want something to care for, not that you want something to care for you. And apparently that isn't how a lot of people think. Apparently they want something to be a slave to their needs rather than vice versa. Both are wrong. I'm just saying that it's obviously more wrong to enslave something to your needs. So anyway, so that's enough of a beginning. And so let's get to a comment or two. Can't believe I watched this load of crap from start to finish. Well, I think I did block you, so you're probably blocked. I mean, if you don't want to watch the videos, don't watch the videos, but I just don't see that. Can I go to your channel and just say, I can't believe this asshole breathes oxygen? I mean, what's the point, jackass? The old guy thinks he's smarter than he actually is. Well, you have any evidence? No. Falsely believing himself to have verbally defeated Gary McCarpet's lack of argument for agnosticism. Well, I'm just saying it's not like she has a lack of an argument. I'm just saying the argument from everything you can make up is possible is a bullshit argument, okay? OJ is guilty, all right? The evidence convicted him, in my opinion, beyond a reasonable doubt. So I think that's a reasonable standard. Beyond a reasonable doubt is a reasonable standard. And I don't think there's any need to sit there and waste time saying that every single stupid thing I can conceive, we're going to presume it's possible. So if I say there's blue unicorns riding purple unicorns that have extra horns in pockets sewn on their butt, you know, is that now something we have to prove wrong? We have to all be agnostic on the existence of blue unicorns riding purple unicorns with extra horns in their pockets? Or can we all reasonably say, you just made that shit up and it's crap and there's no evidence for it and there's absolutely no good reason to believe it, and it's only because you injected that pukey little seed in my head that we're even talking about it? That's the truth of it. I mean, it's an absolute fact that I do not have a 10-foot penis. And everybody already knows. Well, I mean, they could just watch a video. They could say, hey, he's hiding his real one, okay, in a pouch in his butt. Okay? I mean, what's the argument going to be? I mean, you know, you can construct a theory that is beyond reasonable doubt evidence that it's just not possible. It's just not reasonably possible. And God isn't a reasonably possible theory. There's no evidence for it, and the evidence against it is mountainous. It's more than mountainous. Yeah, it's times the speed of light squared. It's mountain times the speed of light squared. So don't give me this bullshit. Well, let me get back to it. The core argument for agnosticism is simply that one is fundamentally unable to know whether or not God exists. Again, why are we not able to know? We know it's a fable. We know that no story of it was ever not a fable. We know that it just makes logical sense if you have 100 or 20,000 people claiming something, and you can prove 19,999 of them to be bullshit, that the one is probably bullshit too. Come on. One might think they have enough knowledge. Well, here, no. God itself give us the answer. Unless, okay. No, that's the wrong one. Which is true. If you claim otherwise, you're lying. So, again, it's a lie to say, I know beyond a reasonable doubt. The evidence is in. Okay, God was a made-up story told to each other, you know, that stupid people told each other to scare each other or because it gave them mojo. Just like bear gods and clam gods and, I don't know, snail god. There was probably somebody had a snail god somewhere. It's all crap, and we know it's all crap. And you can say you don't know it's all crap, but I think a logical, rational person knows all those stories are crap, and the very theory of God is an idiotic notion. The idea that that God sat around forever, because he wasn't created by evolution or some kind of force. He sat around forever doing absolutely nothing forever, and then one day it just occurred to him, I'll make some human beings and I'll fuck it all up and then drown them all, and then no, none of that would make any goddamn fucking sense. Oh yeah, but be agnostic on it, just like the blue unicorn riding the purple unicorn. Why? Because you're fucktards. Sorry, but that's the truth. There, that's another truth. You're lying, which is why it's absurd to claim that to be either a theist or an atheist. Well, like again, I will be atheist on blue unicorns riding purple unicorns with extra horns in their pocket. I'll be an atheist. I'll be no, I don't believe that on the theory that I have a 10-foot penis, and I will be atheist, and I will reject entirely any kind of notion or stupid idiotic story about eternal thinking things that sit around inventing universes, poofing them. When they were apparently poofed. When there's absolutely no evidence that the universe ever poofs anything, ever. So fuck you. Anyway, here, let's just do a little bit of this. Anyone can, the core argument for, no, okay, yeah. Anyone can argue that all they want otherwise, but neither side can be validated beyond a shadow of a doubt. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, so that has to be the standard. And I think it is beyond a shadow of a doubt, to tell you the truth. I don't think there's any shadow of a doubt. There's no blue unicorns riding purple unicorns with extra horns in their pocket. I don't think there's any shadow of a goddamn doubt. I don't think there's any glimpse of it, any sparkle of it, any grain of it. Not a single photon of it, not a graviton of it. So, yeah, that one's dead. And so is God. Unless God himself gives us the answer itself. One might think they have enough knowledge to piece together an accurate view of reality through logic and reason. Yes, there is enough evidence now. We have telescopes, microscopes, cyclotrons, all kinds of shit. So, yeah, the game is over. But then new information is always, new information is always being found. Well, that's not really true, is it? I mean, you could argue that some sciences play with notions for a while. Physics has been playing with an idiotic wave notion for 100 years. Yeah, they're playing with it. And they're wasting their time. They're spinning their wheels. Okay, they're not doing much. Except making up new words. So yeah, sometimes people waste time on bullshit. But I'm just saying, you're not going to change evolution. Well, I'll just read it. But then new information is always being found, and all past paradigms are regulated to the realm of obsolescence. Well, that's what you say, right? But you don't have evidence of that. You're not going to undo the theory of... I mean, we can go through a lot of theories, right? We figured out what microbes are, so now we have a theory of disease causation that's pretty rational, pretty reasonable. It's not going to change, I don't think. I don't think you're going to be able to change the idea that what an infection is. Evolution, so you're not going to change. That's not going to get obsolete as a theory. So, you're just talking out of your ass. This whole idea, again, that we never graduate. You never learn enough algebra. You never learn enough geometry. No, you do. You learn enough. And then you use it. You apply it. Anyone can argue all they want otherwise, but neither side can be validated beyond a shadow of a doubt. Okay, anyway, we already did that. It's beyond. I think that beyond the veil of what you two believe yourself to be discussing, you're actually engaged unknowingly in a conversation over whether or not the psychological image of God is dead or not. Well, who cares? You're just going to go through a whole bunch of shit and in the end just say he's an asshole anyway. So, all this psychobabble. But there's this part here. Regain his passion for life. One own belief in God, or lack thereof, is a reflection more so on the state of their psychology and upon the actual reality. Well, again, you can go ahead and insult everybody, and I'll say, yes, I'll agree with you that it is psychology because they have no knowledge. So you want to make the accusation that they're generally ignorant. Yes, that's fine with me, but that's not... You can't fairly make the argument that I don't understand the theory of evolution. I don't understand the evidence against the theory of God, because I do understand the evidence against it. God is dead for the old guy, therefore he finds no solace in life. He needs to give birth to a new God so that he himself may die and be born anew. How you really don't know me at all. I mean, that's just hilarious. In doing so, he will gain his passion for life. You suck at psychoanalysis. Proven kind of fact, from my perspective. Okay. How can we say we are at the apex of knowledge when we don't even know what 96% of the universe consists of? See, again, that's just, you know, these aren't facts, and even physicists will tell you if you whip them a little bit, that they don't really know what the fuck they're talking about with this whole dark matter, dark energy shit. So again, they're just trying to explain why Einstein's lensing says there's this much gravity when the observed gravity doesn't appear to be that much. So they're trying to basically just keep defending the theory of relativity, which is bullshit anyway. So that's sort of the problem. But the fact is that most of the mass in the universe is in a form that will never be matter. So it'll never have mass as we know mass. Most of it is in this form of gravity, and gravity doesn't do the mattering thing. All right, we don't have the theory of everything. Yeah, I think I do. So maybe you don't, but I do. Let's see. Well, we don't need all these replies and shit. No, we don't need. Oh, Carla's in there. She's so full of shit. Let's see if we can find. No, can't see her posts. She's probably blocked. But she's a cunt. A rude and obnoxious cunt. Okay. Gary, surely you know what has happened to all the other dudes. I mean, you don't. I mean, you really think you're going to have credibility when you're going to call people dudes, especially people who, unlike you, actually accomplish something in life? Throughout human intellectual history, I'm sure the intellectuals just love being called dudes. It's just such a put off. I mean, it's just a nihilist way of minimizing somebody else's substance, just turning them into some. You call people in the audience dudes. You know what I mean? You call something less than you a dude. You fucking asshole. It's rude to call people a dude. Intellectual history who said we are pretty much know everything except for a few is and dots, etc. Well, why didn't you name somebody? So go ahead, show me. They all got egg on their face. Who? Give me the names of the people who did that without the evidence. I mean, frankly, in the past, fucking Ben Franklin had to discover electricity. Think about it. I mean, they hadn't even done electricity, just 250 years ago. No electricity. And certainly not anywhere close to a usable form. So, don't be telling me. Obviously, most of the people in history had no clue what the fuck was going on, and most of them admitted, we can't prove this, I can't figure out shit. Because they didn't know shit. They didn't know what thunder was, didn't know what lightning was, didn't know what any of that shit was. So, who are you talking about, fuckface? And look pretty silly now. Again, who? Who looks silly now? The Pope? Yeah, I think the Pope looks silly. Agnostic is always the right choice. Agnosticism. Again, so you're agnostic on the theory, the 10-foot dick theory, the blue unicorn theory. You're agnostic on anything a human being can make up. You think it is credible instantaneously. Because a human made it up, it's instantly credible. It instantly has to be put in the realm of possibility because they made it up. Fuck you, that's idiotic. You're wrong about observation of photons. Well, I'm certainly not wrong about the observation of photons, so you're an idiot. You can't observe a photon, ever. In any observing kind of way. You can only interact with one. You can't observe one. They don't leave vapor trails. They don't do any of this other. They cannot influence anything except through their absorption and emission. They can't in any way subtly influence anything. A major difference, really obvious from the very start of this conversation, is Gary believes in omniscience in a very practical way, i.e. he believes... Why are you posting more than one comment? I hate this shit. Why do you do this, you people? I mean, really. I think it's obnoxious, personally. I just think that's obnoxious. You can't sit there and watch a video, put your thoughts together, then write a comment. It's just obnoxious. Alright, relativity never violates causality. Well, you're probably right about that, but, It does violate when you get it's when you get into the whole thought experiments at the speed of light is where the violations take place, because they presume to say something idiotic like the speed of light is relative, and it's not relative, it's always absolute. So you could argue that if somebody moving at the speed of light was to turn a flashlight on, the light couldn't be created. It can't be created in the direction that they're moving. Just can't. So whatever. So I'm just saying it just doesn't work. I'm so happy this happened. Okay, now we don't need that shit. So anyway, and so this other bit, I don't know if there's anything on here. I don't want to waste too much time with this. In Gary, the evolutionary tool consciousness has turned on its creator evolution. So again, it's turning on something by just describing it accurately. Okay. And determine that evolution is a pile of bad, broken crap. Well, the point is the byproducts of evolution, the consequence, the net product is bad. A worthless failure. Again, these aren't my words, these are your words. Okay? It's worthless in that there can't be anything worth anything until you create things that need something, and evolution, unfortunately, is creating the need. So that's, you know what I mean? You could say solutionless failure. You know, but yeah, there's no problems until you make a problem. Get it? Personally, I find that negative reversal very interesting. Well, I don't know what that means exactly, but who cares? Alright, so then it's quantum eraser crap, which is just so irritating. There's no such thing. I've been playing with the what do you call those things? The Polaroid, the two-slit experiment thing, and yeah, I haven't got it to work yet. The little bit I got it to work, it didn't have any effect on the thing, the product. I mean, you still had, ironically, this. Well, I won't get into it. But yeah, there's no way to do it. Well, I mean, maybe there's a way to do it. I just don't have I need thinner film, I think. Well, anyway, I won't get into that. That's a physics video. Alright. Where's the chat room? Yeah, I have gotten 3 calls tonight. People looking for the chat room. Yeah, whatever. I mean, I did indicate that I probably wasn't going to do it this week. So, I mean, you really should be able to figure it out. I didn't post a video announcing the room. Isn't that I mean, really? I mean, isn't that the whole point I'm arguing here? I mean, what's the point if I'm talking to imbeciles, what's the point? Frankly, it really isn't that hard for you to deduce on your own that Gary's not showing up. I don't know what to say. And if Gary isn't showing up, Gary's not showing up for a reason. And Gary doesn't need you to call him up and tell him that that his reasons aren't good enough. I mean, really, people are just so out of control. So anyway, so yeah, I guess I can get to the brainy stuff now. Alright, so Antikantavad. Just generally, just yammering about karma. You say he thinks karma is a better way of understanding our mind. But just talking the way that we have an experience, let's say, and it changes us. And that, let's say, that experience is erased from our memory by some sort of catastrophe, and he's just posing the woo, woo, woo. And I would say, there's no woo-woo about anything. Obviously, something that changes you through a process. And so the change doesn't need the instigator anymore. So you can lose the thing that changed your life as a memory. You could lose that. And it wouldn't change the fact that you acquired an understanding or a principle. Like, I can have running in my head the words fail safe. I understand that as a concept. It's a strong concept. Now, I acquired it through different little circumstances where I said, woo, there's an example of the importance of fail-safe. there's an example of the importance of fail-safe. So it became a notion in my consciousness through experiences that you could annihilate now from my memory, and I would still know fail-safe as a concept because now I have tied it to a lot of other concepts, and its validation isn't dependent on one circumstance in my life, because now it's effectively a category. It's a word in my vocabulary that has little stars next to it and sparkles and rainbows. It's a strong word. It's acquired lots of badges. Okay, you could say it that way. It's a word that has lots of badges. And the badges aren't necessarily my particular memories. The badges are a class or a type of memory. So I could use any kind of negative experience as an example of, fail-safe would have been valuable there. So anyway, the key concept here is that this is just cause and effect, and that it's all just reflexes. Your brain is just reflexes. So I've been through this before, but I just thought it would be, it's always fun to draw a little bit and just go through the mechanics a little. So it's a cause and effect universe, and more importantly, organisms behave through reflexes, through just a simple network of switches, and you get enough switches go on, then something goes to a higher level, and then if it's in another layer of switches, and if they're in the right order, it goes up another level, this kind of thing. And ideas migrate through your vocabulary and your life experience, and the ideas are moved to better levels based on the connections made between them. And that's why we have a sentience in the first place, is to associate ideas with feelings. So, if we take let's just do it really simple. Let's not get into all the details of the different parts of the brain and what they might be doing. I don't think all that's necessary. It'd be nice, I guess, someday if somebody blueprints all this crap. But, we know the basic idea, I think. At least I think I do. And so, and it kind of often uses this word intuition. And these are the kind of things where I would argue that's just the first, that's the veneer. The strongest reactions that pop out. And it's almost like your eyes, when they're, I don't know if this has happened to you, but I assume it has. You'll see something in your vision, and it'll just be like a box of Cracker Jack or some stupid thing, and your brain focuses on it, and it only grabs at it, and you realize, you're saying, why am I looking at a box of Cracker Jack? You actually say that to you. Why am I looking at that? And then you and the only reason why you're looking at it is because it's a bright color or it's in a weird place, and your brain recognized that this thing was out of place, or it was too bright a color for the context, or some other reason that it focused on it. But the reason wasn't a good reason. It was just fooled into thinking it had significance when it didn't really have significance. And so then you're just stuck with the idea that my brain focused on it. Is there something I can make out of that? No. So that's often what intuition is. Intuition is a first knee-jerk reaction of your brain. And it often doesn't have any real, sometimes relevance isn't too strong. And sometimes it's just crude and stupid and ignorant. And it takes more processing for your brain to get it right. So we could say that the world comes in to our brain. Okay, we got our eyeball here. And that what our brain is doing is, it takes in the world, and it's reacting, of course, to focus the eye and do all that stuff. So let's not get lost in that little bit of bullshit. But there's a certain intuition into how the eyes actually scan the environment, and how your brain processes thoughts. And what's basically happening is that this image is turned into an internal image that is essentially projected in your brain. So your brain has taken what it's visually seeing, it's inverted it because of the lens, and it's projecting you an image of reality here. And what's happening is that you have another eye in your brain, okay, that's another reflex, right? Like this eye was a reflex and it's projecting, this eye will also project, but it'll project on this kind of perception of reality. It's going to project like a parallel or in a transparent environment, inside your head. It's like when you visualize something in your head, it's not a strong visualization. It's not as strong as this. It's not right there. It's there, but it's kind of transparent, translucent would be the word. So your brain is going to take in this pretty accurate reality of the sounds. So it's doing your ear thing and all your other senses, and it's coming into this place. So it's going to take your internal brain, your subconscious. It's going to take that stuff in, and it's going to project inside your consciousness another vision of it, another version of it. And that new version is going to have the emphasis tied to it, some sort of what is connected to this thing I'm seeing. So it's going to start doing the thing where it'll recognize the girl, and it'll recognize. It might even look at the face and say, "I can see a mood in that face." Bedroom eyes. Some sort of. It'll start adding these. That reminds me of. Okay, so it's going to just do this pattern recognition thing with the crude input. Alright, it's going to get little, like, I recognize that guy. Okay, I've seen his lectures. Oh, I recognize that guy. That's inmendham. That's what it's going to do. It's just going to do these things where it's going to catch stuff. And it's going to recognize it and say, that's who that is, pattern recognition. So it's just going to do that reflexive pattern recognition. So you can understand how that's a reflex, right? Just pattern recognition. I've seen that before. I've seen something similar to that before. And your brain is going to make those associations. So like I said, there'll be a mood created. There'll be attractive, ugly, scary. There'll be things that tie to it that are usually going to be tied to some sort of emotional reaction, because that's the strongest and the quickest and the blah blah blah. So that's the first thing it throws into this refined vision of the world, the mind space, is those sensations. So it'll give you some sort of emotions and some sort of memories, recognitions. So it's going to start tying things to things. But as it's projecting, you're still looking. Your brain is still looking at that image. So now it has this real image. It has this secondary image, and it's going to just keep pushing stuff up into that image. So the longer you think, the longer you concentrate on that thing, it's just going to keep feeding more stuff. So that's the feedback loop. And it's just going to keep pushing more things onto that screen. And I would argue that the things it's going to push are going to have these two characters, right? One is going to have the feeling character, and one is going to have sensation, mood, and the other is going to have this thoughts. Okay, now let's do the logic thing. And that's clearly very reflexive. It's just data processing. It's a Google algorithm, essentially. It's just an algorithm your brain runs where it does word associations, and then it does sentence associations and collection of word associations. So you can have something like a fail-safe, 2 words, and it has a meaning. So it's almost like a single word. Alright, even though both words are understood individually, fail and safe, the concept of fail-safe is also a word in my brain, and a concept, a category. So that's what it's going to keep doing, is find the other things connected to fail-safe, paranoia, or all the just doing this authoritative thing, adjectives, adverbs, all that kind of crap. And that's all that's really taking place. And so it's just going to keep regurgitating things connected to things. Alright, so to bring it back to the philosophy conversation and the actualize your life conversation, that's sort of what all this gets connected to, right? So Antikondavad starts talking about your brain and Buddhism and all this little bibbly-babbly-boo, and it gets you thinking about, okay, well, this is a subject about how to live and how to get the most out of yourself, and self-actualization, and reprogramming yourself or remotivating yourself with these themes or these ideas. So that's why he talks about meditation or some other kind of mechanism. I frankly, I should just do fucking masturbation videos and just tell people how good it is for your brain. But anyway, I mean, whatever. People are just sorry. It's just a little bit silly to me. People should think. I mean, you don't need to meditate to think. You just think. You just don't do something. You don't have to. You don't have to do all that crap. You just have to think. Just say, I'm not going to turn my head. I'm going to close my eyes. Maybe I'm just going to blink. But I'm going to think. That's all you have to do. Think. Thinking is good. Meditating, which is the idea that I'm going to try not to think, that's stupid. You shouldn't try not to think. You should try to think better. So anyway, that's what my brain does to this subject. So as soon as you talk about self-actualization, my brain says, no meditating, no bullshit like that. Understand you are programmed, and that you're programmed by principles and themes, and an understanding of these things. So again, concepts like fail safe, concepts like first do no harm. These things either mean something to you as a concept. The first time I heard that, right, the doctors first do no harm, I said, oh fuck, that's brilliant. I mean, it's so fucking obvious, right? But it hadn't occurred to me yet to think of that on my own. Hey, that should be the first thing you do, is first do no harm. Oh, that's so fucking cool. Yes, that makes sense. Always try to find a strategy that doesn't first make things worse. First, don't make things worse. Yeah, that makes sense. Don't risk making things worse. If you can take the risk of worse out, take it out. Especially if it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice anything that's necessary. Which is really the point. So anyway, this is what thinking is. So I can just give you a list of a bunch of themes, a bunch of these concepts. Risk aversion. I don't know when I heard that for the first time, 40 years ago or something. Risk aversion. I said, well, that sort of makes sense. Yeah, and it just got stronger and stronger, and then we have these conversations. You're saying, I sort of dug it up from the past, because it was in my head. I'd heard the concept, but I didn't really think of it in a personal lifestyle way until, you're having these, and you're saying, of course, this is a perfectly sensible thing to be. Risk aversion. Yes, that's sensible. Yeah. There's no point in allowing there to be risk. You always want to be calculated. You always want to, like making a nuclear power plant, you want to make it fail safe. You want to be averse to the risk of it failing, so you want to do whatever it takes to eliminate all of the unnecessary risk. All of the risk that blue unicorns riding purple unicorns with extra horns in their back pockets are going to fuck things up somehow, crash into it. Yeah. So I don't even know if I don't know if I have to go with this much further in a sense, but these are the things I'm talking about in these videos, right? These are things that we know now. We know how this psychology thing works. We know how we get we end up associating things with things on a psychological, emotional level, and on an intellectual level. So there's use horizontal and vertical. The horizontal, of our emotional character, and then the vertical of our philosophical character. And that our philosophical character, although it can't directly affect our emotional character, it can shoot things. Okay, it can shoot ideas into this mirror, into the screen, that'll go back into our brain, and our emotions will react to it. So it can comfort our emotions. It can send us signals like, oh, but there's rainbows and blue unicorns riding purple unicorns with extra horns in their pockets, and so everything will be all right. Or it can say something like, you're inevitably going to die of some horrible disease, and statistically, You know, even if you think you're going to kill yourself and get out of it somehow, well, statistically, okay, most people don't do that, so statistically, you're still in big trouble. You know, you're at a high risk of, losing 100 pounds and then dying and suffering the whole way down the hill. And, then my brain will go, well, horror, risk aversion alert, risk aversion alert. What the fuck am I doing alive then? I better get the fuck out of here before they stick a tube in me and, try to grow grow me as a seed in a hospital bed. Vegetable seed. For some dumb reason. So, so your thoughts can scare the fuck out of your little feeling. The feeling thing you can comfort it or you can scare the shit out of your psychology. And I'm not saying you should deliberately scare the shit out of your psychology, but what you have to try to do is just try to, when you're doing the philosophy thing, you have to just try to disengage from this feeling thing for a while and this personal thing, and just try not to personalize what you're saying. So even if you say something like, 9 out of 10 people will, at some point in their life, experience impotency. 9 out of 10 males or something. Now, if I don't take that personally, no problem. But if I take that statistic personally, well, then I'll be in trouble, because I'll be like, holy shit. Then I really won't have a reason to live. So the trick is, when you're doing philosophy, is, just don't feel too much. Just try to sever your personal nerves a little bit and not hear what you're saying or thinking. Yeah. Well, whatever the trick would be. See, but that's the whole point. That to me is useful psychobabble bullshit, because it's a way of explaining how you can still think honestly without being a slave to your psychology. But this crap where people are giving you psychological advice on how to feel better or how to, be happy, right, which is just kind of silly anyway. When you think about what most of the things that make people unhappy, sometimes it is, they got the bad back, or they got, physical misery. Like today, I was not happy today because I just felt kind of like puke. I just didn't feel good. And just it's a downer. So the way I was feeling just made it impossible, and it colors how you're thinking, right? Because now even all this philosophical stuff is tedious. Everything is just nauseating. So everything's just kind of tainted with, no, I don't want to, no, I can't watch that. I can't listen to that shithead. You have no patience. You have no tolerance. When you're feeling good, then you have a lot of tolerance. And so, it's good if I could say some words that automatically made people pain-free and felt good. Well, that'd be great. And if we can psychologically anesthetize ourselves in some way, well, that's good. But if you're going to do it with a lie, then it's bad. And that's what these people, these nihilist fuckers, think. It doesn't matter. The truth is sacrificable. Okay? The truth is compromisable. The truth is rapeable. And it's just wrong. It's evil. Because the only way the truth gets fixed, the only way a problem gets solved, is people have to acknowledge it. They have to. It has to. Ow. Global warming has to. Ow. 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 That hurts. See, it has to irritate you, or you don't fix it. See, and I just have always had the advantage. See, I'm saying this to you people because you people are like, even the people my family, the people I grew up with. Yeah, they just, something's broken, it doesn't bother them. They just buy a new one. Something's fucked up, they just kind of push through it. And then don't sit there for a second and analyze and say, do we want to do that again? Is there a way we can prevent that from happening? Can we cure this disease? Where that's my reaction is always been, well, how do you fix this? Or how do you prevent that? Because I'm not doing that again. That was really bad. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. So The bottom line is there are principles, and the reason, okay, that's the point I wanted to get to. Do I have any time left? Yeah, good. So the point I wanted to get to is to see lots of people are dissing logic. Even this, wonderfully attractive young lady was dissing logic. And it's like, you can't diss logic. Logic is the process. So you gain these certain understanding of themes of truth, formulas, 1 + 1 = 2, this kind of stuff. And you have to be consistent with those, and then you build a chain, 2 + 2 = 4. You build on these things. And that's what logic does. You combine things and you build with the logic. So you learn some things like evolution, and it has a logical consequence to your existence. You learn about the fact that you're just a psychology, and that's a logical consequence. There's logical consequences to that fact. That fact ends up connecting now to other facts about your existence. There's no God. That means if anything's going to get fixed, we have to fix it. See, that's logic that lets you know that. And so these people that diss logic as a process, it's just such bullshit. But that's really what our brain does innately. That's its function. It's a logic engine. That's why animals have it. So they can look at the world and they can find the best strategy, the straightest line to accomplishing something, the most efficient way to get it, the less harmful. And that's what we can do logically. And yes, for most animals it's just a what's in it for me kind of game. But that's one of the first logical principles you get when you're anything close to intelligent. Even if you're just a little bit intelligent, you get the concept, oh, there's all these other things equal to myself. Their welfare is just as real. Their feelings are just as real. And that I must understand that I can't use them in some negative way. I cannot impose upon them risk and adversity, and then think that I can, if I profit from that in terms of I gain comfort by imposing on them adversity, that's a profitable game because I have compromised something equal to myself. It's a marshmallow against a marshmallow. Look, if you saw a fight between two marshmallows, you'd say, hey, just knock it off, assholes. There's no way for you to win. Okay, Marshmallow A is just as good as Marshmallow B, and you assholes aren't going to win anything by pulling pieces off of each other. That's just logical. It's logical. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It's a piece of logic. It's not religious dogma. It's fundamentally, intrinsically logical because you have acknowledged the fact of intrinsic equality. Fundamental equality. Basic equality. Alright, now I think I've done enough. But that's what brains do. And they do it through a reflexive process. It's all reflexes, connecting one thing to the next thing. And once you have these themes in your head, these principles, fail safe, harm, suffering sucks. Once you have a notion like suffering sucks in my head, and the idea that, okay, that means it needs to be prevented, it's there, it's up on the top. And now any other ideas that are connected to that, don't have kids, don't create the opportunity for suffering to suck. They get connected logically, and then they start moving up, and then they become fundamental themes. Okay, really is enough. Perhaps one of the most incomprehensible drawings ever. But, almost looks like a dog, right? A little dog face there. Yeah. Anyway, so I think I did my job, right? Once again, I think satisfactorily accomplished. So we'll see where the next video goes in this series. I don't know if I want to get into a protracted series, but anyway. But this idea that we have acquired, we have the game. There's no unicorns. There's no gods. There's no singularity. There's no place for consciousness to go. Consciousness is just like, it's like claws on a dog's paw, or a bird's beak, or feathers even. It's like feathers on birds. You know there's no singularity for feathers. Feathers are just a tool. You know there's no special feather thingy in the universe. It's just a tool. Consciousness is just a way of doing reflexes. And it's a, as I explained in previous videos, it exists as a consequence of having to create the valuing mechanism, the mechanism that allows you to see logic, see a rational statement, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It has perfect, you see that it's consistent, and it doesn't contradict, and it's consistent with all the evidence you know, and your brain has a sensation, a reward when it sees something that matches. It's a puzzle piece that fits in the puzzle. And your brain needs to reward that kind of stuff. It needs to reward good thinking versus bad thinking. It needs to be able to have some way of tainting purple unicorns are a reasonable thing to believe exists. See, if I said that, my brain was, no. It has to give a negative. It has to negate on it. And that's why we have a sensate brain, is because sensations are vital to creating these associations that are not only the visceral ones, the reflexive emotional ones, but more importantly, we probably couldn't do reasoning and logic without sensation to create validation of right answer. The whip and the carrot. Your brain has to reward your brain. As funny as that sounds, but that's really how it works. One part of your brain, the two brain idea is basically, has to be that way. Brain tells brain, good job, and vice versa. That way, until next time.